when you have like you know, one element is using left, another element is using right. You don't have the correct reference points. So I like to have it like this, where everything is using left. So 170 by 760, 760 and 170. Refresh, make sure it stays there. All right, cool. So for our purposes, I'm gonna bring them up just a little bit. Show you how you used to do it back in the days. 60 work. And this is why that new technique of actually using the inspector, no matter which IDE you're using, or in that case, no matter which IDE or even browser you're using, this is absolutely the best way to do it. And the only thing that's better than doing using the inspector like we were using before is this really cool plugin that you can use here in PHP Storm and all of IntelliJ's, I believe in all of their web-based products. You can definitely change it and it'll update the CSS within the IDE. So that's absolutely maybe the only better option out there. All right, cool. So that's exactly where I want it. So now we're going to do our cityscape. So I'm just going to grab this, double down, and we'll call it Alien City. I'm going to call it BG because I have to drop one value in front of the other. So the other one will just be regular city. And we'll keep them at those values. Alien main, Alien City, and Alien City BG. Now I don't remember which one is which, but that's what texture pack is here for. The name of this one is Buildings BG. Perfect. Image, not Buildings BG. Oh, wrong one. This one is just Buildings Main, and this one is Buildings BG. Alright, so let's just update our browser real quick. Alright, so now you see this one's all over the place. Now, that's absolutely fine. Same thing as before. We're going to our inspector. Now you'll see that we have these two or one's in front of the other, but we'll fix that. Let's set this to 0 because we know it's supposed to be at 0. Actually, that'll actually probably fix. No, we still have to bring this down. So let's figure out what our top is supposed to be. So our top is, we'll say roughly 398. Let me remove this. Yeah, we'll say roughly 398. So what we can do here is probably just swap these two and make a left 0 because the design was left base. And we know it's 398 for both of them. So let's go back in here again. Play. 398 doesn't like you? Oh. That's fine, that's alright. Come back in here again. Oops, not you. Now, why are you extra large for? City 398. Oh, we didn't take our value. That's fine. It's not our main we want this one to move. Let's see what your value is. Your value is 478. Now the reason why they're different is just the stacking order and the different sizes. This one is actually a little taller because of this peak, whereas this one doesn't have that peak. So that's the reason why we couldn't use the same Y values. Sorry, the same top values. All right, this one has to just be modified slightly. We're going to be taking shortcuts and not doing this correctly the first time. 489. All right, cool. So now we have our city in place. We see a little bit of crashing right here, but there are a number of things we can do. We can maybe change the Z index. We'll say 10 for now. Great, now they're not even near each other. But from a design perspective, this is actually quite bothersome. So let's move our main over. I actually want him to maybe cover. So as you can see now, just by swapping the Z index, we were able to, to bring our main monster into the foreground. Now we're going to do the same with some of these, not all of them. Now the trick is we can really show some nice depth by maybe putting them in between the buildings, and even some of these when we do animate them to come from different places. So let's grab, let's see. This one's getting lost in the background, so let's figure out who this is. So Alien 6 is getting lost in the background. So let's go to Alien 6. Let's change the Z depth. Now I'm using Z depth because I still have 3D in my mind. Z index, Z depth, same difference. There you go. So now he's in front, right? The other ones we can leave right now because they're actually not in any particular danger of running to anything at this moment. So we can leave those for now. I'm liking where this is at. So that's the end of the rest of putting together our bottom portion. So now what we'll do is just to close out this video is make these clickable. We're not going to do anything to them just yet, but I just want them to be clickable. So what we're going to do is create a class. Remember, IDs, which is the hash or pound sign, whatever you want to call it. IDs are simply made for single usage, whereas our classes are made for multi-usage. So we're just going to create a class and we'll call it click. We'll call it click BTN, and we're just going to do really one thing to it. We're going to set the cursor to pointer, and what does that do? We don't even need to copy it. So now for all of our alien classes, we're going to append at the end of this class, we're going to add click button. So what this is going to do is it's going to mimic a rollover state, and that'll just give the user a visual cue that they can interact with this object. Now, can they interact with this object? Not right now, but soon they will be. So now you can see you can roll over and minus U. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why is that? Let's see if you're just being blocked. So it's 4. Let's go back and just debug this a little bit. 4. Let's try sending the Z index and seeing if that's what's going on. Yeah, so it's just the index and stacking order. So basically, the city was on top of our alien, so we weren't registering that click event. That's cool. And what we're having here is this monster's Z index is probably higher than this guy's index. So for this one, we'll leave it off. We'll only leave some of them, to be clickable. But that's it for this video. So now what we basically did was just set up our scene exactly the way we want it. And now it's time for some magic. So let's jump into some green sock and get these things moving. Edithson Abelard from Passion 47. Like the other videos, source code will definitely be on our blog. You'll be able to get both watch the video and get the source code. And that's going to be at passion, the number 47.com. And if you haven't, follow me on Google+, rant and rave all the time, especially about what's going on when it comes to game and highly interactive stuff. And definitely check me out on Twitter. Edithson, Abelard, I'm out.